What's up, guys? Jordan from Bennett's Customs. We're back on another episode. If you guys may have caught last week's, we did something a little bit different when we made the Planters Mr. Peanut, which was really, really cool, and we've got it hung up. So yeah, it looks great. It's slightly crooked, so I'm gonna have to fix that. It's bothering my OCD, but we'll get there. So what's happened is we finally got the block back from Galloway's, which is exciting. We're gonna get that on the engine stand and start getting the basically everything back together. The block itself was really, really good. It's super clean, didn't need a lot of work, which was great. Neither did the crank. Everything kind of prior to purchasing this had been done from Steve and Zane, and everything was kind of machined and then kind of wrapped up and left, and obviously had been sitting for several years. So it really only just had a little bit of surface rust on it. Having said that, what we need to do is Ben wants a bit of black on the frame itself. And rather than just kind of using a rattle can, I would like to 2-pack it just for longevity and to seal it up a little bit better. We're not gonna get crazy fancy with bodywork or anything like that. That was never the go with this. So we're definitely not trying to cut corners. We're just leaving it kind of how it is, but altering it slightly. So what's going to happen is the silver part of this frame is going to go black, and then it's just prepping it so that once the block is assembled, we can get that painted with the pan, finish off the intake and valve covers, and then we can basically put this in and start to reassemble stuff. So what we're gonna do, kind of the easiest way, we are gonna paint it in the workshop, which is totally fine. We got some fans and it's quite a nice morning this morning, so we should be able to get a nice lay down. But what I'd like to do is just remove the 4-bar and full suspension, roll it out forward, put a few jack stands under it, remove the headlights and all of our brackets, steering box, etc. And then what we can do is just get in there, low pressure on the gun. I may even just wet down the floor a little bit. That just helps kind of settle the overspray. At least once that's prepped, then this is kind of done, ready to go. So then motor gets back, it's assembled, then we can stick it in and start to do the real fun bits. Extractors, spark plug holders, generator brackets, setting up the air cleaners and carburetors with the throttle linkages. There's going to be some real cool little fine work I'm really excited to be able to do on this to make it just slightly different. So without further ado, we might as well get straight into it. So let's do it. All right, so now that that's out and we've removed everything else, there's a little tab here that I think used to hold the old horn, which we don't have, so I'm just gonna trim that off. And then really all we're just gonna do is just go over this with the DA cleaned it up, make sure that the surface rust that's there is obviously treated. And then we'll just blow a little bit of light primer on and just do a wet on wet, and then get that satin 2-pack paint on there. And we're using a Wattle product, a little bit of a cheaper paint, but you know, for this type of thing, it works out perfect. So we'll be able to mix up, and I believe the satin is 70%, or sorry, 30% reducer for the clear. So it kind of gives you that 70-30, which seems to kind of be the magic number as far as what we want to do. So what I'll do is throw a few jack sands under here, clean out our tools, and then we're going to start to sand this thing. All right, so as you can see, shop floor is damp. It's a really warm day today, so the floor is drying faster than we can get paint down at the moment. But that'll kind of help us, especially we need to just do a coat of primer. So I just want to put a sealer over it, make sure that all the kind of fresh body filler that was in there is clean, and everything is kind of done properly. And then once we put that coat of primer on, we'll let that sit for half an hour, and then we'll come in and put our 2K black that's mixed up already, ready to go. Again, this is definitely by no means the perfect way to do it. This is kind of just like a job. We want to get this car on the road, so we're not looking for show quality by any means. Ben just wants a nice kind of dirty old hot rod to be able to bomb around in and not have to worry about people touching it or it being real shiny and clean all the time. So the bits that were surface rusted or had surface rust, sorry, they have been treated. We just use that rust bust and a scotchy, and that is be able to paint over it as well. So really, I got a bit of primer in the pot, gun's ready. I'm just gonna try and get as much low pressure as possible with adding a bit of material, and then we'll let that sit, and then we'll get the black on. All right, so we're in the next day. Paint's cured. It looks, as good as kind of we expected it to. By no means is it a, professional paint job like we would usually do on a higher end car. So what we were trying to achieve is just coverage. We've got coverage, it's sealed, and for now it'll look good. Once all the accessories are on, hood sides, motor, everything, you're not really gonna see it. You'll see the sides, but the sides actually came up relatively good. We were able to smooth them out quite a bit. So really happy with that. Over here, this morning, I've just kind of gone through and sort of prepped our headlight mounts, our headlights, shock mounts, and our little signal toppers that go on the top of the headlight buckets themselves. Again, with this, we just kind of did a real quick hit with the orbital just to knock off all the high spots. And then I've just gone through and rust treated everything to make sure it was all sealed. So I'm just gonna come through, put a bit of etch primer on this. We're just using a rattle can. And then we'll put some gloss black down on this to have somewhat of a contrast with the frame and kind of the other bits and bobs that are on there. So this should look really good. And then once this is all done, cured, we can kind of remount everything on top of the frame. And then I might just have a little bit of a play with this. I wouldn't mind polishing up the 4-link panhard bar a little bit, not crazy high polish, but just enough to sort of have a bit of contrast, as well as that front axle is aluminum and would be really neat to kind of have it a little bit shiny. So I think it would look quite nice once it's all so slowly evolving and we have our nice little polished air cleaners on the top and our little, kind of have a bit of an idea for our spark plug holders and stuff. So we'll have a little bit of contrast between sort of original paint, a little bit of satin black, gloss black, and yeah, it should look really cool. So what I'm gonna do, get a little bit of etch prime on this, let that sit, and then once ready, we'll come through and spray some gloss black down. All right, so basically, job done. We're able to sort of remove all the front suspension, shock towers, headlights, the brackets, steering box, etc. And then, you know, somewhat do a light prep, I'll call it, a light prep on the frame. And then we were able to get that really nice satin black on there and paint the headlight buckets, the shock mounts themselves, the headlight mounts, steering box again, and all the little kind of bits and bobs, a little bit of light polish work on the front axle. But really what we were just trying to achieve is we wanted to kind of get everything in this area finished so that when the motor is ready and we paint the block and put everything together, it can literally just drop down straight into place, and then we have everything laid out on the table in order to put all the accessories onto it. So with not trying to take away from too much of the car and sort of the original paint and everything there, we just wanted to sort of add a little bit. We needed to get rid of that silver enamel paint especially. But you know, I think once everything is on there and the motor is in, it's gonna look spot on. So, you know, there's definitely still a lot of like really cool little witness marks in the headlights themselves, still a couple little dings, and you know, where the paint's kind of been, like you obviously saw, we just gave them a real light sand and etch prime and sprayed them. So at least it shows a little bit of character, because that's kind of, you know, obviously overall what this car has is a fair amount of that, which is great. Hopefully coming soon, as in potentially next week, motor will be assembled. We can get that in the booth, spray that, and then we can kind of get it in, get the intake on, the tri-power set up. Again, we need to make a set of headers for it, a full exhaust system for it. I mentioned I'd like to do some really cool little spark plug holders, very similar to kind of what came out on flatheads. And just some like real neat little finer details that, you know, I enjoy to do, which will be kind of cool to do on the motor itself. So, and then, yeah, basically hood cowl sides, or hood sides, sorry, and you know, kind of just sort of get everything kind of ticking the boxes. And then once we go from there, obviously transmission needs to be attached, put in, drive shaft. We'll get the axles removed, pull the third member out of the 9-inch that's in here, make sure everything's all good with it, and kind of put everything back together, finish off the brake lines, and you know, this thing's going to be coming together really quickly. So obviously major component is the beating heart that this usually has. So once we get that in, it'll be you know, that fun little domino effect of hopefully getting this thing on the road quickly. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Pretty simple video, nothing, you know, too crazy, especially with fab work, but just, you know, another little thing we show as these are evolving. This is just another step you need to do. So we obviously want to show all those steps and the processes, whether they're not totally perfect. It's you know, totally perfectly imperfect, I'd say. That makes sense, I think. But anyways, make sure you guys like, subscribe, hit notifications, and we'll see you next week on Bennett's Customs. Thanks, guys.